How to make a cool minifigure for your LEGO world. Let's take a saber-toothed tiger. He will be a servant of our hunter elf. For the elf herself, you can take parts from elves from series 3 and 17 of minifigures. Her camouflage chainmail is perfect for hidden hunting among forests and thickets, and a long cloak will hide from prying eyes. You can take other details. The main thing is to use green and brown colors for the huntress and choose no more than 3 colors for the base. Then your minifigure will look more entourage. As a weapon, you can use a long bow, like the elves from the Lord of the Rings, but I decided to collect a long, golden spear for my character. Such a weapon can hit even the largest predator, because in the fantasy world there are animals more terrible than bears and wolves. And paired with a saber-toothed tiger, this huntress will be more dangerous than a whole squad of knights. But who else lives in the forests of the fantasy world is a werewolf man. But at night he turns not into an ordinary wolf, but into a big brown bear. If everything is clear with the bear, then for the minifigure I used the body from a fawn from the 15 minifigure series, the beard from the king from the Nexo Knight series, and the hair from Dolores from the Harry Potter set 75/967. I decided to make the character almost completely naked. In this way, he is similar to the fantasy counterpart of the Incredible Hulk from the Marvel Universe. Falling into a rage, this werewolf turns into a formidable beast with a skin as thick as steel. But like the Green Giant from the comics, this hero uses his power for good, protecting the noble forest and its inhabitants from various evil spirits and hordes of trolls, goblins and orcs. Now the forest inhabitants cannot be afraid, knowing that the bear man is on their protection. But among the villains there are other characters besides demons, skeletons, or various orcs. I'm talking about the Dark Sorcerer, of course. Once, a student of the Academy of Magicians, he decided to discover the secrets of forbidden spells. They made him stronger and opened the way to incredible possibilities, but the heart of this magician was enslaved, and the soul was cursed. For this character, I chose the details of an exclusively black color, which reflects all the evilness of his character. Gnome beard and head from Series 5 minifigures, Batman cape and torso from the Ninjago series. As accessories, I gave him Tom Riddle's diary from the Harry Potter action figure series, the black spider that the sorcerer uses for his potions, a cat from the Simpsons series, as well as a standard cauldron and a black hat. Some parts, of course, can be replaced if you do not find the same ones at home. The main thing to remember is that for an evil sorcerer it is best to use black, dark gray, and brown details, as well as, of course, a long black beard. Now you can also assemble your own dark magician for your world from LEGO. In fact, to assemble a cool custom, you can use parts from completely different LEGO series. For example, take a look at this aristocrat, a member of an unusual race in my fantasy world, which I made from Admiral Akbar, the hero of the Star Wars movie. The race of this character was expelled from his native lands, covered with swamps. Hordes of orcs, trolls and goblins seized their home and built a new city there, which became the capital and main center of their new kingdom. Now, our hero has to look for a new home for his people, and therefore he needed a beautiful, noble costume. You can find the same one in the Harry Potter set, the Great Hall of Hogwarts, or choose a similar one from the minifigures of the King or Shakespeare. From the latter, you can also borrow a white collar. The Scarlet Witch minifigure from the Marvel sets had a cloak of the same color, and it is best to use the magic wand from the Harry sets as a cane. It will be difficult for such a lord to refuse help, and the good king will surely shelter the people of our hero. But another representative of this race defends his interests differently. Armed with a formidable hammer and wrapped in mail and plate pauldrons, he set off to fight the orcs and trolls. Enlisting the support of warriors and fighting sorcerers from the City of Magicians, he vowed to clear the swamps from green invaders and one day return home to his people. I hope I can find more of these heads from the Star Wars sets and collect a whole squad of such warriors, because I have been hunting for this head for a very long time. The rest of the parts one borrowed from the Ghost Bat Knight from minifigure series 19 and the hammer from the dwarf from series 17. I got the shield from the Ninjago sets, the shoulder pads from the Medieval Forge, and the purple cape from the Alien from episode 8, but it can also be found on the Mysterio minifigure from Spider-Man. Now, you can diversify your LEGO world with new races and characters, regardless of the theme you collect. Star Wars sets are generally very useful if you're building a varied LEGO world. There are a lot of alien minifigures in them, which are great for good customization. Further, we'll look at another custom made from Star Wars minifigures. Quite recently, one of the subscribers sent me details for custom and my fantasy city, and of course, I made a new character out of them. It had several Gungan figurines that fit the fantasy theme very well. However, I did not previously plan to add this race to my world, but if you think that it fits perfectly into it, then write about it in the comments and I will definitely do it. I assembled the character itself, as you have already noticed, from a Gungan minifigure. I took the torso from an orc from the Hobbit series, replaced the hands with beige ones, matching the color of his skin. The legs and shield fit perfectly from the Viking from 4 series minifigures, shoulder pads from Nixonites, and perfect weapon. It's a two-tone spear with a stone tip. Unfortunately, due to the long ears, it will be very difficult to make the same archer. They will prevent him from putting on his quiver of arrows. Like the previous heroes, these people also lived in the southern swamps, which are now under the control of orcs and trolls. United by one goal, they fight shoulder to shoulder, intending to clear the land from the invaders and reclaim their home. But what if the orcs were good and fought against the undead and demons? Everything is possible in the fantasy world. That is why I decided to collect a similar character, Orc Renegade. He does not fight in wars and does not serve any of the kings. This hero lives far to the north in lands unusual for orcs. However, it is already well known to local residents. After all, having trained the militia, he helped them stand before the detachments of robbers, and also cleared the nearest forests and lands from monsters and evil spirits. I took many of the details for this winter guard from the Season 13 Ninjaga sets, adding accessories from the Lord of the Rings, as well as a fur collar from the Winter Warrior from the 22 series minifigures. Despite his skin color, this hero is not a hermit, but on the contrary, he is very loved and respected by the inhabitants of the northern settlement. And between the northern and southern continents, on a mountain pass, there is an ancient bastion in which the clan of the Black Hawk has been serving for more than 100 years. After the wars of the past era, many orc tribes remained in the scorched wastelands, which ravaged the settlements in the western lands with their raids. The Black Hawks stand like a stone wall to protect civilians, vowing to one day completely cleanse the world of the Green Menace. LEGO's re-release of these knights turned out to be very successful, which today appear in almost every set on the theme of the Middle Ages. Quality prints and a high level of detail. Complementing such a warrior with a long elven bow, a black cloak from Batman, a quiver and mask from Ninjaga sets and a hat from a bard from the 22 minifigure series. You can assemble a very cool heavy archer in terms of skills comparable to the most skilled elven shooters. Even the most dexterous scout will not slip past the gaze of this guard, and during his service, civilians can sleep peacefully. But it is not always necessary to have dexterity and skill to be a good scout. You can get by with small stature, cunning and, of course, a tame, trained raven. Collecting the right information where the latest gossip is sometimes more useful and effective than sending an entire army of knights into battle. And when all the information is collected, it must be delivered as soon as possible directly into the hands of the king. With this, a trained raven, for which I had to hunt for a very long time, will help. However, recently I was lucky enough to find a scarecrow minifigure and now I have this bird. The rest of the parts for the scout came from a dwarf from Series 5 minifigures, as well as a cape from the battle pack with the Mandalorians and hair from Harry Potter. Even if the king does not have the internet, thanks to such a character he will be one of the first to receive all the latest news. Meanwhile, in my fantasy world, of course, there are also pirates. Even if they are without cocked hats and muskets, they still have a saber and a bottle of rum. The Misty Islands are home to sea wolves who raid merchant ships from Imperial Harbor. This pirate has already managed to lose a leg in one of the battles and, according to all the cannons, wears an eye patch so that when going down into the hold for the next portion of rum, he does not stumble on a box in the dark. As a basis for the sea robber, I used the torso from the Barbarian from Minifigures Series 11. The legs, head and saber are from standard pirates and the hair is from Kai from the Ninjago sets. Now, ship travel has become more dangerous and the sea has new owners. But this character was not always an evil robber. Once upon a time, he was an ordinary peasant boy who dreamed of going to sea under big sails. When he was little, his father carved a beautiful toy ship out of wood for him to be the envy of the neighbor boys. However, the life of ordinary peasants is rarely easy and carefree. One of the long and cold winters, his father fell seriously ill and eventually died despite all attempts to persuade the master to send his healer to them. The master often turned to the boy's father because of his ability to work with wood, but in a difficult moment he turned away from him. Unable to find justice, the boy ran away from the landowner and became a formidable pirate, bringing justice on his bloody path. The boat model is assembled from just 7 parts and will fit perfectly into your homemade product as a children's toy or decor element. But there are other lands in the sea. One of these are the Lunar Isles, home to some of the oldest inhabitants of Caldaria, the Moon Elves. This people is headed by the wisest of them, the keeper of the most valuable knowledge about the origin of magic and the power of distorted light. The robe from Dumbledore from the first series of Harry Potter minifigures is perfect for him, as well as the hair from Thranduil from the Hobbit sets and Loki's staff from the Marvel series. Having lived for 1,000 years, this elf has seen many ancient wars and decided to take his people to the most sacred place for the elves, the islands, where the moonlight would fill them with energy. Well, if you liked today's customs, be sure to watch my other videos and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. channel. With you, as always, was Papa Lego. For all you cool minifigs, bye bye.